All right, come here, so check this out. So off of G minor, the second position of the G minor scale is going to be your Locrian scale, or your Locrian shape. If I applied that to the key of A, it would be Locrian. All depends on how you apply the chords to get the sound that you want. That's your second shape though. In the last lesson we talked about the Dorian shape, which is your fourth shape. So in between those two is your Ionian shape. So there's your Locrian right there on the 5th fret. On the 6th fret is your Ionian. We'll look more at that in the next lesson. It's a major sound. And the 4th shape is going to be off of the 8th fret. And it's the one we talked about in the last lesson, and it is the Dorian shape. Then we're going to move to the 10th fret, and we're going to play the Phrygian shape. Now the Phrygian shape is going to be played on the 10th fret, the 11th fret, and the 13th fret of the 6th string. Then when we get to the 5th string, we're going to play 10, 12, 13. Do the same thing on the 4th string, 10, 12, 13. Then when we get to the 3rd string, we're going to play 10, 12, 14. And on the 2nd and the 1st strings, we're going to play 11, 13, 15. So that's going to be your Phrygian shape. So I want you to look at how it begins. It begins with a half step, then a whole step shape. So half step, whole step. We go back to the second position of that minor scale, which is your Locrian in the key of A. It's going to be half step, whole step. Because we're playing 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8. Half step, whole step. Same thing with Phrygian. Half step, whole step. Now, of course, all this relates back to the G minor scale. But if I wanted to play in the key of what this Phrygian is doing, I'm playing in the key of D. You notice how it sounds kind of dark and diminished? Very similar to how the A Locrian sounded. It's got that sound because that half step starting it out is what's kind of giving it that tonal quality. So that's why I consider the Phrygian and the Locrian sister shapes. Just like in the last lesson, I consider the Dorian and the Aeolian like minor scale sister shapes as well. So Locrian and Phrygian, kind of diminished shapes. Now you're going to hear Phrygian more often than you will Locrian. Locrian is an oddball. You don't hear it too often in songs. I actually made a song that uses Locrian just because I wanted to play around with it. I expect you to do that as well because that's something that you can do to explore how these shapes sound. But Phrygian is very often used in metal and rock music because it creates a really interesting, again, I'm going to use that word diminished sound. Sometimes it sounds Middle Eastern. You hear it in the song Holy Wars by Megadeth. You hear it in lots of songs like that where they use an acoustic guitar to play shapes of the Phrygian. It also is interesting when you take the harmonic minor shape and apply it to Phrygian, you get something called Phrygian dominant, which sounds really exotic. And I'll explore that in another lesson, but I wanted to go ahead and give you a teaser of what it sounds like. But Phrygian and Locrian. So what I'm going to do is create a backing track where I'm going to go ahead and create just a minor sounding backing track using some power chords, just something simple. And I'm going to go ahead and play Locrian over it and then Phrygian over it. And just like in the last lesson, what I want you to do is take the Locrian shape and the Phrygian shape and be able to play one down, then one back up. So like the Locrian shape, we can start here on the same fret that I started the Phrygian shape on. I can play it on the 10, the 11, and the 13. And then on the 5th string, 10, 11, 13. That makes it Locrian, right? Then when we get to the 4th and the 3rd strings, we're going to play 10, 12, 13. And then on the 1st and the 2nd strings, I'm going to play 11, 13, 15. That's Locrian. And then going back to Phrygian, which I already showed you, it's a little bit different, right? We're going to play that 10, 11, 13, then 10, 12, 13. 10, 12, 13, then 10, 12, 14, 11, 13, 15, 11, 13, 15. So go up one, go up the Locrian, and go down the Phrygian. And if you could do that, and then apply some different exercises, like go up the Phrygian and come down the Locrian, or go up the Locrian and back down the Locrian, go up the Phrygian, back down the Phrygian, then of course you're strengthening your fingers, your muscle memory in your fingers, or your finger memory, to be able to play these shapes backwards and forwards, which is really going to help. So let's look at Locrian over a backing track first, then Phrygian, just to see how they sound differently. Okay, we're going to start with Locrian. All right, I think that sounded pretty interesting. I like how it sounded. Now we're going to try Phrygian. Kind of the same lick, but this time we're going to use Phrygian. There's some cool ideas in there. Sounds like a cool little rock or metal song. They are very similar. Hard to distinguish between the two. Using chords that work really well with one or the other is what's going to make these scales or modes or whatever you want to call them. It's going to make them sound different. So what you want to do is play with the tonal centers of them. So hear how Phrygian sounds a little bit different from Locrian. Like here's your Locrian. And here's your Phrygian. So you've got that half step, then you got the whole step, then you got the whole step. For Locrian, it goes to a half step. For Phrygian, it goes to another whole step. Half step, whole step, and then whole step. Whole steps are going to sound brighter. So Locrian sounds a little darker than Phrygian, but they're so similar, it's hard to distinguish between the two. As always, thanks for checking out this lesson. I've got lessons on here every week. Been posting lately Sundays and Wednesdays. So be sure to come back for more. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share and all that wonderful stuff. And don't forget that I do have a free course out there. It's a course at justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. It's a 7-day free course. Helps you unlock the fretboard and play with confidence and ease all up and down the fretboard. I show a lot of things in these free lessons that I have here on YouTube that you may understand, you may not understand, so I wanted to give you something foundational that'll help you out. So if you'll sign up over at justpickuptheguitarandgo.com, you'll get that foundational course, and I also send out goodies and things like that on my email list. So again, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Be sure to subscribe over there, and we'll get you in the ballpark so you can play with confidence and ease and just pick up the guitar and go, right? Justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. Also, let me know what techniques you're currently working on and what are some things you want to work on next. For me, for about a year, I've been working with Kevin Dillard. I want you to write down his name, Kevin Dillard. He is a guitar teacher out of Columbus, Georgia, and I have got both of his books, and I actually go see him from time to time. And he has a book called IntelliShred and a book called Arpeggio Madness. I think that's what it's called. I'll put them on the screen here somewhere. But his books are just loaded with everything under the sun that you could think of. And I've been going through his books and learning sweep picking and arpeggios and tapping and trying to bring a lot of that to some of the lessons that I'm teaching on here as well. I kind of want to pull you along with me. You know, I'm not the master virtuoso like Yngwie Malmsteen or anything, but I want to kind of pull you along with me as I learn things. I want to go ahead and show you what I'm working on, and then you can work on it as well, and we can kind of grow together. That's kind of the point of my channel. So what are you working on? What are some techniques you want to learn? What are some things that you want to learn how to do? And if you have questions, put them down in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.